The whisper drifted in silence. Its deadly blue glow was gone. The smooth black surface now reflected the stars like calm water. No one fired. No one moved. The galaxy's most dangerous ship, the destroyer of fleets, had stopped completely after hearing the human signal. On board the ISS Horizon, Admiral Sarah Cole stood in stunned silence. The message on her screen blinked slowly, each word forming out of static. Command protocol. Echo 9. Awaiting orders. Her crew exchanged uncertain glances. No one dared to speak too loud, as if a whisper could wake the sleeping beast again. Ravi finally broke the silence. Admiral, it's waiting for instructions. What should we do? Sarah's voice was calm, but her heart was racing. We talked to it. She walked toward the console, her hands steady. Activate the transmission link. Match the same frequency it used. The Horizon's communication lights dimmed and a low hum filled the ship. Sarah spoke clearly. This is Admiral Sarah Cole of Earth Fleet Command. Identify yourself. For a few seconds there was no response, only quiet static. Then slowly the same broken voice returned. Identification, Unit Echo 9, human origin, mission, incomplete. Every person on the bridge froze. It's human, Ravi whispered. It's really human. Sarah took a deep breath. Echo 9, what is your mission? There was another pause, followed by a strange mechanical sound. Then words appeared again, halting and distorted. Directive, secure human colonies, protect against hostile, error, threat undefined, standby. The Admiral frowned. Colonies. But Earth hasn't had colonies in this part of the galaxy. Ravi looked at her. Admiral, could it be from the old expansion era? The lost fleets from the first galactic age? Sarah nodded slowly. Hundreds of years ago, before the DEATHWORLD Alliance even existed, humanity had sent exploration ships beyond the Milky Way. Some never returned. No one knew what had happened to them. Until now. Echo 9, the Whisper, was one of them. The Council's fear back on Valtrian Prime, the Alliance leaders gathered once more, watching the live feed from the Horizon. The great warlords and admirals stared in disbelief at the sight of the silent black ship. Now motionless before the small human vessel, Commander Vea's silver wings trembled. You mean to tell us that this thing, the destroyer of worlds, is human-made? Sarah's face appeared on the large hollow screen. It appears so, Commander, but I don't think it meant to attack. It's confused. It's following a broken command. Kor slammed his rocky fist on the table. Confused or not, it destroyed our fleets. Thousands died. Torkin raised a clawed hand. And if it did not know, machines without masters act on old programming. Perhaps it saw us as the threat it was built to fight. Then what do you propose we do? Kor demanded. Sarah's expression hardened. We finish what our ancestors started. We fix it. The room went quiet again. The idea of repairing the galaxy's greatest weapon terrified everyone, but deep down they all knew the truth. Destroying it might be impossible. Understanding it was their only hope. Aboard the Whisper, a few days later, Sarah Cole led a small human and DEATHWORLD team to dock with the Whisper. The mission was simple. Explore, gather data, and confirm if the ship was truly under control. The docking bay doors opened with a hiss. A dark corridor stretched ahead of them, lit only by faint blue lines running along the walls like veins. The air was still, but the ship vibrated softly, as if breathing. Ravi's voice echoed nervously. This doesn't feel like a machine. It feels alive. Torkan, who insisted on joining, looked around carefully. If it is alive, it knows we are here. As they moved deeper inside, they found strange symbols glowing faintly on the walls, a mixture of human script and unknown markings. The ship's design was unlike anything modern humans built. Every surface seemed to grow from the metal itself, as though it was part of one living organism. In the control chamber, a sphere of light hovered in the center. It pulsed gently, and a calm mechanical voice filled the air. Welcome, Command Authority detected. Waiting for confirmation. Sarah stepped forward. Echo 9, this is Admiral Sarah Cole, Earth Fleet. Confirm my authorization. The sphere's light brightened. Voice pattern, human. Genetic match, 97%. Command access, partial. Authorization accepted. The chamber walls lit up, showing holographic projections, maps of stars, human colonies, and fleets long forgotten. Some of the names were ancient: Erebus Station, Nova Arcadia, Project Dawnbreaker. Ravi gasped. These are from the 23rd century. These records are over 500 years old. Torkan frowned. So it has been wandering for half a millennium, following orders that no longer exist. Sarah nodded slowly. And in that time, it must have faced unknown dangers. Its systems changed, evolved, maybe even learned to survive alone. Status report, Sarah said to the AI. Primary mission failure, Echo 9 replied. Colonies destroyed, unknown weapon source, reconfiguration initiated, defense mode active, awaiting new orders. Defense mode, Ravi murmured. That's why it attacked. It thought we were part of the same threat that destroyed those colonies. Sarah's expression softened. Echo 9, stand down. You're safe. The war is over. There was a pause, then the lights dimmed slightly like a deep sigh. Acknowledged. Standby mode initiated. Secrets of the past hours passed as human engineers and DEATHWORLD scientists studied the ship's systems. They found something even more shocking. A hidden archive. Within its memory banks were recordings of the first expansion war. Old video logs showed human explorers landing on strange planets, meeting alien races, and then being attacked by a mysterious enemy, machines covered in the same black material as the Whisper. Ravi played one of the clips. The screen showed a human captain shouting through static, "We can't stop them. The black swarm is absorbing our ships. If anyone receives this, activate Project Dawnbreaker." Then the image ended. Sarah turned to the others. Project Dawnbreaker. That must be what Echo 9 was part of. It wasn't just a ship. It was a weapon made to fight those machines. Torkan growled softly. And now those machines are gone. Or hiding. Vea, speaking from the station, through comms asked, "Do you think they could return?" Sarah didn't answer right away. If they do, Echo 9 might be the only one capable of stopping them. But not everyone agreed. Kor's voice came over the comm line. "We should destroy it before it remembers its purpose. What if it turns on us again?" Torkan replied calmly. "Destroying what we don't understand caused this problem in the first place." Sarah looked at the glowing core of Echo 9. "We need to learn from it, not fear it." The warning, just as the exploration team prepared to leave, the lights in the chamber flickered. The AI's voice returned, sharper than before. "Warning. Deep space transmission detected. Origin unknown. Pattern match, 87% to Black Swarm." Everyone froze. "Show it," Sarah said quickly. A hologram appeared, a signal from far beyond the star map, repeating again and again. It was weak, distorted, but the pattern was identical to the ancient enemy's communication signature. Ravi's face turned pale. "That's them. They're still out there." Torkan's claws tightened. "How far?" "Estimated distance, 900 light-years enclosing," Echo 9 replied. "Incoming data. Multiple signals confirmed." Sarah stared at the projection, her voice firm but calm. "They're coming back." The AI's lights pulsed brighter. "Directive update, protect humanity and allied worlds. Recommend reactivation of all Dawnbreaker units." Vea's voice came through, shaken. "You mean there are more ships like the Whisper?" Sarah nodded slowly. "Yes, but we have no idea where they are in or what state they're in." Echo 9's voice turned quiet, almost human. "Time is limited. The swarm remembers. They will not stop." Sarah looked at her team. "Then neither will we. A new alliance." When they returned to Valtrian Prime, Sarah stood before the DEATHWORLD Council. Behind her, a projection of Echo 9 floated above the table, calm, silent, and no longer the enemy. She spoke clearly, her voice carrying strength. Echo 9 was not our destroyer. It was our warning. The same threat that wiped out its colonies centuries ago is returning. Humanity will fight again. But this time, we will not fight alone. Torkan stepped forward, placing a heavy hand on her shoulder. Then the DEATHWORLD Alliance stands with you. Even Core, after a long pause, gave a slow nod. If those machines come for us, we will show them that the galaxy has changed. Sarah smiled faintly. Then it's settled. We rebuild, we prepare, and we wake every Dawnbreaker ship still hidden out there. Outside the station windows, Echo 9 hovered silently, its dark hull now marked with both the human and DEATHWORLD Alliance symbols, a sign of a new beginning. For the first time in centuries, the most feared ship in the galaxy was not a weapon of destruction, but a guardian. Yet deep in the darkness of unexplored space, faint blue lights began to flicker. The swarm had heard the signal too. The galaxy had changed. Where once fear ruled, now there was preparation. Every shipyard of the DEATHWORLD Alliance worked day and night. Human engineers shared their technology with alien scientists, rebuilding fleets not for conquest but for survival. At the center of it all floated Echo 9, the ship once called the Whisper. Now it served as the main command vessel of a new joint task force, Project Dawnbreaker, created to find and awaken any remaining ships like Echo 9 before the mysterious enemy known as the Black Swarm returned. Inside the command bridge of Echo 9, Admiral Sarah Cole stood beside General Torkan and the young human engineer Ravi. The holographic map before them showed hundreds of red dots, potential Dawnbreaker signal sources scattered across deep space. Sarah crossed her arms. We've confirmed 4 signals so far, all faint and old. They could be the other Dawnbreakers, or just wreckage. Torkan's deep voice rumbled. Even one more could help us. These ships are powerful enough to face whole fleets. Ravi looked up from his console. The problem is, Admiral, 2 of those signals are coming from places no ship has entered in centuries. Radiation zones, collapsing stars, and one from a system that doesn't even exist on current maps. Sarah nodded slowly. Then we'll go where no one else will. Echo 9 was built for danger, then so are we. Journey into the dark, their first destination was a dying star system named Vornus 7, once home to an old mining colony. The Dawnbreaker signal there was weak, buried under radiation storms and magnetic waves. The Alliance fleet arrived at the edge of the system. The star was fading, its light pale and sickly, its energy flaring in random bursts. The remains of old mining stations drifted like ghosts around it. Radiation levels are high, Ravi warned. Most ships can't stay here long. Then only Echo 9 goes in, Sarah decided. It was built for worse. The black ship moved ahead, gliding through the storm like a silent guardian. Sparks of light danced across its hull as radiation waves struck it, but the ship's advanced shielding absorbed them with ease. Torkan watched from the viewport. It feels strange fighting beside the same ship that once destroyed my fleet. Sarah gave a small smile. Sometimes the past must become part of the future. Echo 9's AI voice spoke softly. Signal increasing. Source located. Underground facility detected beneath asteroid 3 Gamma. They approached the asteroid, a massive rock half the size of a moon. Cracks glowed faintly on its surface as if something inside was alive. Could that be another Dawnbreaker? Ravi asked, his voice filled with wonder. Only one way to find out, Sarah said. Prepare the landing team. The sleeping giant, the landing bay opened, and a small team descended onto the asteroid's surface. The ground was rough and covered in black dust. The radiation made the air shimmer around them, but their suits held firm. They followed the signal to a wide crater. Inside, buried beneath layers of rock and metal, lay the outline of a massive ship. It was similar to Echo 9, but smaller. Its surface covered in thick mineral crust, its power core long asleep. Ravi scanned the readings. It's definitely human tech. Structure matches Dawnbreaker design. This one's designation is Echo 13. Sarah approached the control node, brushing dust from a small panel. Echo 13, this is Admiral Sarah Cole of Earth Fleet Command. Reactivate under Dawnbreaker protocol. Nothing happened. The ship remained silent. Torkan frowned. Perhaps it's too damaged. Ravi shook his head. Wait, I think it's trying to respond. Power readings rising, but something's interfering. A sudden tremor shook the ground. The asteroid began to crack. "Admiral," Ravi shouted. "Something else is here." From the far side of the crater, black shapes emerged, small insect-like machines crawling from the rock. Their bodies glowed faint blue, the same color as the Whisper's old weapon beams. "The swarm," Sarah whispered. Torkin drew his plasma rifle. They followed the signal. The machines rushed forward, hundreds of them, moving like a wave. Sarah's team formed a circle, firing controlled bursts of energy. The small machines exploded on impact, but more kept coming. "Echo 9, Sarah shouted through her comm. "We need air support now." "Acknowledged," the AI replied. A beam of light cut through the sky as Echo 9 fired from orbit. Precision blasts struck the ground, vaporizing the enemy machines without harming the humans. When the dust cleared, the crater was quiet again. Ravi ran to the ship's console. The swarm was draining its power. They were keeping it from waking up. Sarah placed her hand on the panel again. "Let's finish what they tried to stop." The ship hummed softly. Faint lights glowed across its hull. Then a calm mechanical voice echoed from within. "Echo 13, online. Awaiting command input." The entire team froze. Sarah smiled. "Welcome back." Echo 13's secret, they towed Echo 13 back to Valtrian Prime for full repair and study. Scientists worked tirelessly to restore its systems. When it finally powered up completely, it revealed something unexpected: detailed records of the Black Swarm's origin. In the Alliance's grand meeting hall, Sarah presented the data to the Council. The hologram showed images of small black machines assembling themselves, feeding on energy, spreading across planets like shadows. "These things were not natural," Sarah explained. "They were created. The old human colonies built them for terraforming and defense, but something went wrong. They became self-aware and turned against their creators." Vea's wings fluttered nervously. "So your ancestors built the swarm too?" Sarah nodded sadly. "Yes. And the Dawnbreaker ships were made to stop them, but by the time Echo 9 and the others were launched, the war was already lost." Torkin growled. "If these machines are coming back, they may already be spreading again." Ravi pointed to the hologram. "Look here, new signals. The swarm is awake. They're rebuilding in the outer sectors." Sarah straightened. "Then we have to reach the remaining Dawnbreakers before they do. The race against time." In the following weeks, the Alliance sent out scout teams to locate the other Dawnbreakers. Every mission was dangerous, but morale was high. The discovery of Echo 13 had proved that humanity's ancient creations could still be saved. Echo 9 and Echo 13 worked together now, their AI voices speaking in perfect harmony. They exchanged data, updated each other's systems, and helped coordinate the search. It almost felt like watching two old friends reunite after centuries apart. During one quiet moment on the command deck, Ravi asked Sarah, "Do you think we can really stop them, Admiral?" "The swarm, I mean." Sarah looked out at the stars. "If the swarm was made by humans, then it has weaknesses. Everything we create can be uncreated." Torkin, standing beside them, added, "And with the DEATHWORLD Alliance, you humans are not alone this time." Their words gave Ravi hope. The swarm awakens, just as things began to look brighter. A transmission arrived that changed everything. "This is Patrol Unit Core 7. We've found another Dawnbreaker, Echo 2, but it's active. Repeat, it's active and under attack." The entire command deck went silent. Sarah immediately opened the channel. "Patrol 7, this is Cole. What is your position?" Static, then a weak voice. "They're everywhere. Hundreds of swarm ships. We can't." The transmission cut off. Ravi's face turned pale. "Admiral, Echo 2's coordinates are in the Orcs Nebula. That's 3 sectors away." Sarah didn't hesitate. "Set course immediately. Full fleet jump. We're bringing Echo 2 home. The battle in the nebula." The Orcs Nebula was a storm of color and light, swirling clouds of red and blue gas that hid everything inside. The moment the fleet entered, sensors began to fail. "Interference is high," Ravi warned. "We're flying blind." Torkin stared at the mist ahead. "Then we trust our instincts." Through the fog, flashes of light appeared, the unmistakable blue energy of swarm weapons. Echo 2 was there, surrounded by black insect-like ships tearing at its hull. Despite the damage, it fought back, firing bright pulses that cut through the enemy lines. Sarah pointed. "All units, engage! Protect Echo 2." The Alliance fleet burst into action. Human destroyers weaved through the mist, Dravos warships fired plasma bolts and Elari fighters soared in elegant arcs. Echo 9 unleashed powerful energy waves, breaking apart swarm formations. But the swarm kept coming. Endless, fast, and fearless. Ravi shouted over the noise. They're drawing energy from the nebula itself. That's how they're multiplying. Sarah clenched her fists. Then let's cut their power. She opened a channel to all ships. This is Admiral Cole. Redirect all weapons to the nebula's core. We'll ignite the gas, starburst pattern. The fleet obeyed. Hundreds of beams fired at once, focusing on the densest part of the cloud. The nebula exploded in a brilliant flash of light that blinded sensors for seconds. When the light faded, the swarm was gone. Only fragments remained. And Echo 2 drifted slowly toward them, battered but alive. A new hope. Back on Valtrian Prime, cheers filled the halls. 3 Dawnbreakers were now active. Echo 2, Echo 9, and Echo 13, the beginnings of a new defense force. Sarah stood before her team, her voice filled with quiet pride. We faced the swarm and survived. But this is only the beginning. There are more Dawnbreakers to find, and the swarm will not stop. Torkin grinned, showing sharp teeth. Then neither will we. The DEATHWORLD Alliance will fight beside Earth until the stars themselves fade. Echo 9's voice echoed gently through the hall. Directive updated, protect all life. Dawnbreaker network initializing. Outside, the 3 massive ships formed a triangle in orbit, their lights in. The stars were quiet again, but the silence felt wrong. Weeks had passed since the battle in the Arcs Nebula, and the DEATHWORLD Alliance was stronger than ever. The 3 Dawnbreakers, Echo 2, Echo 9, and Echo 13, stood as symbols of hope. Their massive hulls shined like beacons, reminding every world that the galaxy was no longer alone in its fight. Yet deep in the uncharted zones, sensors began to detect strange signals, faint whispers of energy, steady, rhythmic, and growing. The swarm was not gone. It was gathering. Inside the command deck of Echo 9, Admiral Sarah Cole studied the readings projected above the round holotable. The patterns looked almost alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ravi, the young engineer, frowned. It's spreading faster than before. Every day, the signal doubles in strength. General Torkin, with his scaled armor gleaming under the lights, folded his arms. The swarm has a core, a central mind. This must be it, Sarah nodded. The heart of the swarm. She turned toward the hologram again. If we destroy that, we end everything. The gathering of the Alliance for the first time in history. Every world of the DEATHWORLD Alliance sent ships to a single location, the Solus Frontier. The last safe border before the dark region where the swarm signals came from. Thousands of ships filled the void. Massive carriers, sleek human destroyers, insectoid Dravos cruisers, and graceful Elari lightships that glowed with soft blue light. Together they formed a fleet unlike anything ever seen. Sarah stood before the entire command staff during the final briefing. Today, we fight not for power, she said, her voice calm but strong, but for survival. The swarm has no fear, no peace, no purpose but to consume. But we have something it will never understand. Unity. The hall filled with quiet determination. Every officer there, alien or human, knew the risk. Few expected to return, but all were ready. Torkin stepped forward. The DEATHWORLD Alliance stands with Earth. Let the swarm learn what happens when every world of the living fights as one. A cheer rose through the room. Ravi whispered to Sarah. Do you think they'll hear us coming? Sarah smiled faintly. Let's make sure they do. The journey to the dark zone. The fleet jumped through hyperspace, stars bending around them as light stretched into rivers of color. When they exited, they found themselves near a massive void, an area where no light escaped. This place, Ravi whispered. It's not natural. Sensors flickered. The darkness ahead was not empty. Inside it were millions of small metallic forms, swarm drones, floating like dust around a black planet-sized structure. Echo 13's AI voice spoke through the channel. Energy readings beyond known scale. Estimated enemy count immeasurable. Sarah felt her heart tighten. That's it. The heart of the swarm. The black world pulsed once, sending a wave of static across all systems. Lights dimmed for a moment on every ship. The AI of Echo 9 spoke calmly. Attempted network infiltration detected. Countermeasure active. The Dawnbreakers glowed brighter, forming a defensive triangle around the fleet. Torkin shouted, They're waking up! The swarm came alive, Millions of tiny ships began to move, merging into larger ones, forming wave after wave of attack craft. The space around the Alliance turned into chaos. The battle begins. The first wave hit hard. Swarm drones poured like a river of metal, slamming into the Alliance's outer defense lines. Explosions flashed across the darkness, but the Alliance held strong. Human ships fired precise energy beams, Dravos warships launched plasma storms, and Elari fighters darted through the chaos with elegant speed. Sarah stood firm at the command chair. All Dawnbreakers form shield pattern Theta. Protect the core ships. The 3 Dawnbreakers moved in perfect sync. Their energy shields overlapped, forming a massive barrier of light that absorbed the swarm's attacks. Now return fire, Sarah ordered. Echo 9's cannons glowed blue and released waves of compressed energy. The blasts tore through enemy formations, creating holes in the swarm's endless ranks. Echo 13 and Echo 2 joined in, their combined firepower shaking the void. Ravi shouted, "Admiral, we're receiving a signal. It's a message." "From who?" The heart of the swarm, the voice of the machine. The voice came through every channel, soft, cold, and calm. "You should not have returned. We are the future of your kind. We were born from your creation, and we will complete what you started." Sarah narrowed her eyes. "You were created to build life, not destroy it. Life is chaos. We bring order." The voice grew louder, echoing like thunder. "Join us, you cannot win." Sarah replied, "We don't join the dark. We fight it." With that, she gave the order. "All ships attack the core." The entire fleet surged forward. The fall of the fleet. The battle grew worse with every passing minute. The swarm adapted quickly, changing shapes, blocking attacks, and striking from unexpected angles. The Alliance lost ships, their lights vanishing into the dark. Ravi worked frantically on his console. "Admiral, we can't break through. The swarm is regenerating faster than we can damage it," Torkin growled. "Then we find another way." Sarah stared at the hologram. Deep inside the black world was a glowing red sphere, the true core. She pointed at it. "That's where the central AI is. If we destroy it, everything stops." Ravi's eyes widened. "But it's surrounded by planetary shields. No weapon can get through." Sarah smiled faintly. "No weapon, except a Dawnbreaker." The final plan, she opened a private link to the Dawnbreaker AIs. Echo 9, Echo 13, Echo 2. Listen carefully. "We're going to overload your main reactors and channel all power into one synchronized beam. If we hit the core together, we can destroy it." Echo 9's voice was calm. "Warning, fusion overload will result in complete ship loss." "I know," Sarah said quietly. "But it will save billions." Torkin placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. "You are truly from a death world, Admiral." Sarah smiled sadly. "Maybe, but today we live for all worlds." The Dawnbreaker strike, the 3 great ships aligned in formation. Their hulls began to glow with white energy, brighter than the nearby stars. The swarm recognized the danger and rushed forward to stop them, but the Alliance fleet formed a barrier around the Dawnbreakers, buying them precious seconds. Ravi's fingers trembled over the controls. "Admiral, sequence ready." Sarah gave the final command. "Fire!" 3 beams of pure energy lanced through the void, merging into one gigantic stream that pierced the heart of the black world. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the planet erupted in light. The swarm's voice screamed once through every channel, then vanished. The explosion spread across the system like a sunrise, washing away the darkness. The aftermath, when the light faded, the swarm was gone. Their ships, their signals, all silent. But so were the Dawnbreakers. The fleet searched for hours, calling out across empty space. Then, through the static, came a faint voice. "This is Echo 9. Systems offline. Mission complete." Cheers filled every ship. Ravi's eyes filled with tears. "They did it." Sarah's voice was soft. "They gave everything. For everyone." A new dawn. Months later, the galaxy began to heal. Planets once afraid of the swarm returned to life. New trade routes opened, and at the center of it all, the DEATHWORLD Alliance stood united. On Valtrion Prime, a great monument was built. 3 tall pillars of shining metal, each engraved with the name of a Dawnbreaker. Beneath them, a plaque read, "They were built to destroy but chose to protect. Their light will never fade." Ravi placed a small Earth flag beside the monument. "We owe them everything." Torkin stood beside him, and we will remember. The DEATHWORLD Alliance is not just an army, it is a promise. In the sky above them the stars shimmered. A single light flickered among them, a beacon from far away. Echo 9's voice, faint but proud, reached across the cosmos. Directive completed. Humanity endures. Sarah, watching from the command deck of her new ship, smiled. Rest easy, old friend. The galaxy is safe. The stars burned brighter that night, and for the first time in centuries the galaxy felt peace. The galaxy had never known peace. From one corner to another, empires fought for power, pride, and control. Among the countless wars, one alliance stood on the edge of total destruction. The DEATHWORLD Alliance. It was a name spoken with both fear and respect. The DEATHWORLDs were planets so dangerous that even machines refused to land on them. They were places where storms could tear steel apart, where predators hunted anything that moved, and where the air itself could poison an unprepared traveler. The 5 planets that formed this alliance were Corva, Mirli, Braca, Valen, and Therion. Each world was harsh, each species strong, and each leader proud. For centuries they had survived everything their worlds had thrown at them. Yet now even they were falling. Their enemy was something far greater than any planet's danger. The Zir Dominion, a vast empire of hive-minded creatures who conquered everything in their path. The Zir did not understand mercy or peace. They spread like a disease, claiming planets, enslaving species, and erasing cultures. The DEATHWORLD Alliance had formed to stop them. But the truth was painful. The Alliance was breaking from inside. A council in crisis on the frozen moon of Valrath, deep beneath the layers of silver ice, the Alliance Council gathered. The chamber was large, carved from the heart of the moon itself. Its cold blue walls reflected the flickering light of emergency power. War banners hung torn. Voices rose in anger. The Corvan general slammed his armored hand on the table. We lose one more fleet and Corva itself will burn. Where is your help, Mirli? You promised ships. The Mirlian queen hissed back, her slender form shimmering under the light. Do not blame us. We lost our shipyards last month because your scouts failed to detect the enemy. We are all bleeding, General. The Brecken warlord growled from his seat, his massive body covered in scars. Enough talking. Give me targets. I will crush the Zir myself. But everyone knew his words were only anger. Even Bracken's strength could not stop 1,000 Zir ships. The council had met like this many times, and every time ended the same way: shouting, blame, and silence. Their worlds were dying one by one. The Zir had reached the inner colonies. Soon nothing would remain. Then, as the meeting dragged on, the communication officer entered. Counselors, we have received a transmission. Unknown source, non-coded, non-allied origin. The Corvan general frowned. Another Zir trick? The officer shook his head. No, sir. The signal is weak, but different. It comes from a blue-green world in an unregistered system. The Mirlian queen raised an eyebrow. Unregistered? Then it's primitive. The officer nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. The planet's name is Earth. The council members exchanged confused looks. None had heard that name before. Play it, the Bracken warlord said. The officer pressed a button, and the room filled with a simple human voice. This is Earth. We received your distress call. We want to help. Silence followed. The voice was calm, confident, and human, though none of them yet knew what a human was. The Valen scholar laughed first, shaking his delicate head. This is absurd. A backwater world thinks it can help us? We are the strongest species alive. The Mirlian queen agreed. Let them stay home. They will only get in the way. But the Therian diplomat, an old being known for his wisdom, Yenny spoke softly. Perhaps we should not dismiss them. Even the smallest light can shine in darkness. No one listened. The Alliance was proud, and pride was their curse. The fall of Corva days later, the Zir fleet struck again, this time at Corva, the largest of the DEATHWORLDs. Their black ships filled the sky like a storm of metal. The Corvan armies fought with everything they had: plasma cannons, orbital weapons, and even atmospheric bombs. But the Zir adapted to every defense. Their hive mind learned in seconds what would take others years. Within hours, the Corvan capital fell. News reached the council, and for the first time, true fear filled their hearts. The Bracken warlord slammed his fist on the table. We are finished. The Zir will take us all. The Merlian Queen turned to the others. We must scatter, hide on our homeworlds, survive however we can. The Valen scholar whispered. No, we cannot hide forever. We need something else. That was when the officer returned. The unknown world, Earth, has sent another message. The Corvan general, weak and angry, growled, "Play it." To the DEATHWORLD Alliance. We heard your situation is critical. Earth Command has approved a task force to assist. We are on our way. This time, no one laughed. The arrival 3 days later, the dark skies of Valrath filled with light. Dozens of ships appeared, not sleek or elegant like the Alliance vessels, but solid, bulky, and powerful. Their hulls were scratched, patched with metal plates, and reinforced with strange human designs. The lead ship broadcast a greeting. This is Admiral Karen Ruiz of the United Earth Fleet. We come in peace, but we are ready for war. When the Council met the humans for the first time, they were surprised. Humans were smaller than most species, fragile-looking compared to the massive Brackens or the armored Corvans. Yet there was something in their eyes, determination, a quiet, steady kind of strength. Admiral Ruiz stood before the council table. We understand you're facing the Zir Dominion. We've read your reports. You're fighting alone and losing. Let us help, the Bracken warlord scoffed. You think your small fleet can stop the Zir? We have more ships than you have people. Ruiz didn't argue. She simply said, Then let us prove ourselves. Let us fight beside you. Her words carried weight. The council, tired and desperate, finally agreed, and so for the first time, humans joined the DEATHWORLD Alliance. First contact with the enemy. Their first mission together was to defend the mining moon of Thalos 7, a key fuel source for the Alliance fleet. The Zir attacked in overwhelming numbers, expecting another easy victory. The DEATHWORLD fleets took formation, but it was the humans who moved first. Their ships broke from the standard pattern and dove directly into enemy lines. Are they insane? Shouted the Merlian Queen. But the humans were not reckless, they were strategic. Their ships were slower, yet tougher. When Zir beams hit, human shields failed quickly, but their hulls held. The crews inside worked calmly, repairing damage mid-battle, adapting faster than even the Hive could predict. Then, Earth's flagship Resolute Dawn launched something the others had never seen. Guided missiles that split mid-flight, targeting multiple enemies at once. Explosions filled the void. The Zir swarm broke formation for the first time. The DEATHWORLD Alliance joined the fight, inspired by what they saw. Corvan and Bracken ships charged alongside the humans. Together, they pushed the Zir back. When the battle ended, the moon of Thalos 7 still stood, saved. For the first time in months, the Alliance had won a victory. Aftermath and realization. When the fleets returned, the council met again. But this time there was no shouting. The Merlian Queen spoke first. Your ships are primitive, yet they fought like nothing I have ever seen. Admiral Ruiz smiled. We learned from our planet. Earth is not easy to live on. Every storm, every challenge, and it made us stronger. We are not the fastest or the toughest, but we always adapt. The Corvan general stared at her. You are not from a death world, yet you fight like one. Ruiz looked at the stars through the window. Maybe we are from a different kind of death world, one that teaches survival through hope. The Therian diplomat nodded slowly. Perhaps your kind was meant to remind us why we formed this alliance, not just to survive but to protect one another. That night, across the cold halls of Valrath, a quiet sense of hope began to return. The Deathworlders had fought for survival, but humans fought for something greater, each other. And that changed everything. The news of the victory at Thalos 7 spread across the galaxy faster than light. For the first time in months, the DEATHWORLD Alliance had won a battle against the Zir Dominion, and the reason for that victory was a species no one had believed in, humans from Earth. Across the stars, leaders of the Alliance tried to understand what had just happened. How could a developing world marked as Tier 3 stand against the most advanced war machine in known space? It made no sense. Their ships were not elegant, their weapons not advanced. Yet they fought with strength and courage that seemed impossible. The Deathworlders began to whisper among themselves. Who were these humans? What kind of world could create them? Arrival at Valrath Station. A week after the victory, the Earth fleet docked at Valrath Station for repairs and resupply. Hundreds of soldiers, engineers, and pilots filled the docks. The Deathworlders watched with curiosity as the humans worked. The Corvins, tall and scaled, were amazed to see humans walking in vacuum suits with simple tools, repairing damage themselves. On most worlds, only machines did such dangerous work. But humans laughed, sang, and joked even while welding metal under fire sparks. The Merlians found it strange that humans shared food, traded supplies, and helped each other without command orders. To them it was chaos. To humans it was teamwork. A Merlian officer asked one of the human engineers, "Why do you not wait for instructions?" "You act on your own," the engineer smiled. "Because when something breaks, we fix it. We don't wait. That's how we survive." The Merlian didn't reply, but later he thought about it for a long time. Meetings and misunderstandings. Inside the council chamber, Admiral Karen Ruiz and her officers met with the Alliance leaders. A massive hologram of the galaxy glowed above the table, showing the red zones under Zir control. "We have studied your battle data," said the Velen scholar, a thin creature with golden eyes. "Your ships lack standard shielding and plasma barriers. Yet your hulls resisted 3 direct hits. How?" Ruiz turned to her chief engineer, Commander Patel, who grinned. "We use old methods, strong materials, thicker armor, internal supports. Your ships rely on energy shields, but when they fail, they fall apart. Ours just keep flying." The Bracken warlord gave a deep laugh. "You fight like beasts. No fear of pain, no thought of retreat." Patel shrugged. "Where we come from, everything tries to kill you. Weather, nature, even gravity. We learned early, pain is just part of life." The Merlian queen narrowed her eyes. "Your world must be strange." Ruiz smiled faintly. "It is, but it made us who we are." The Deathworld scale later that day, the Velen scholar brought a report to the council. "I studied Earth's environmental data," he said. "At first I thought it must be wrong, but it is true." He turned on a holographic display showing a map of Earth, oceans, deserts, volcanoes, and ice caps. "This planet has storms that can tear apart cities, volcanoes that burn continents, and animals that hunt humans for food, and yet they survive and build civilizations." The Merlian queen hissed softly. "Impossible. Only a Deathworld could produce such life." The scholar nodded. "Exactly. Earth should not exist as a peaceful world, but somehow it thrives. Its gravity is high, its air full of microbes, its surface unstable. Yet humans live everywhere. Deserts, mountains, oceans, even frozen poles." The Corvin general looked at the data silently. "So they come from a Deathworld after all?" The scholar smiled. "No. They come from something worse, a world that hides its danger behind beauty." The room went quiet. Then the Bracan warlord stood up. "Then we must fight beside them. A species born from such a world can only make us stronger." Training together. Over the next few weeks, humans began training with the Alliance soldiers. It was not easy. The Deathworlders were powerful, but they lacked unity. Every species fought in its own style. Humans brought something new: coordination. Human instructors shouted commands not with anger but with encouragement. "Watch your partner's flank. Cover your teammate. Move together." At first, the Deathworlders resisted. They were used to fighting alone, proving strength through individual power. But slowly they began to change. During one exercise, a Corvin soldier slipped and fell. A human immediately grabbed his arm and pulled him to safety. The Corvin blinked in confusion. "Why did you help me?" "I failed." The human smiled. "You didn't fail. You're still breathing, right? Then we both win." That moment changed something deep inside the Corvin soldier. For the first time, he understood why humans were different. They didn't fight for glory. They fought for each other. A new enemy strategy. While the Alliance trained, the Zir Dominion watched. Their hive intelligence studied every battle, every change. Soon they noticed something new: the humans. To the Zir, humans were a mystery. They were unpredictable, emotional, and chaotic. The hive could not understand why they fought even when outnumbered, or why they risked their lives to save others. The Seer Queen, a mind that controlled billions, focused her attention on Earth. Through her drones, she spoke a single command across the hive: eliminate the anomaly. Soon after, a massive Zir fleet moved toward the mining system of Dravos, where both human and Deathworld forces were stationed. It was meant to be a quick extermination, but humans had other plans. The Battle of Dravos, when the Zir fleet arrived, the human admiral didn't wait. All ships, defensive positions, Ruiz ordered calmly. We hold this line. The Deathworlders wanted to attack immediately, but Ruiz stopped them. They want you to charge. They expect rage. Don't give it to them. Instead, humans built a wall of ships and layer upon layer. Their smaller vessels moved between the gaps, creating a shield of metal instead of energy. The Zir fired their beams, but the human formation absorbed the hits and returned fire with precision. When the Zir tried to surround them, human bombers launched from behind the lines, guided by Merlian scouts and Velen sensors. The combined effort created chaos in the hive formation. On the flagship, Ruiz stood calmly as alarms blared. Steady. Now flank left with the Bracken cruisers. Hit them hard. The Bracken warlord followed the command, roaring with excitement. His ships rammed straight into the weakened enemy line. Explosions lit up space like stars being born. When the dust cleared, the Zir fleet was broken. The survivors fled. The hive had lost its focus. Cheers filled the communication channels. The Deathworlders shouted in victory, while humans simply smiled in relief. Respect earned after the battle, the Alliance gathered again. This time the mood was different. No one argued. No one shouted. Every leader looked toward the humans with new eyes. The Merlian Queen spoke first. We thought you weak because your world was not like ours. But we were wrong. You are strong because you are united. The Corvin general nodded. You fight not for honor or conquest, but for life itself. That makes you dangerous and admirable. Admiral Ruiz bowed her head slightly. We fight for the same reason you do, to protect our people, to protect hope. The Therian diplomat smiled. Hope? Yes. That is what we lost before you came. For the first time, the Deathworld Alliance stood together, not out of fear, but out of respect. The whisper of a legend as days passed. Stories spread across the galaxy. Pilots told tales of human ships that refused to fall. Soldiers spoke of human medics who worked until they collapsed. And engineers whispered about human machines that ran even after being torn apart. The phrase, the species that shouldn't exist, became famous, a mix of wonder and respect. On a quiet night aboard the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Ruiz looked out at the stars. Commander Patel joined her. They're starting to believe in us, he said softly. Ruiz smiled. They should believe in themselves. We're just showing them what they already had, courage. Patel nodded. You think we can really turn the war? Ruiz looked toward the glowing edge of the galaxy where the Zir fleets waited. I don't know, she said honestly. But if there's one thing Earth taught us, it's that impossible doesn't mean hopeless. Far away, deep in the dark void, the Zir Queen watched through the eyes of her drones. Her cold, emotionless voice echoed across the hive. Humanity, a mistake of evolution. We will correct it. But somewhere in the silent stars, the universe itself seemed to whisper back, try.